May now invite Mr. Ravi Koulagi. Ravi has been a global director and CTO for global public segment at CISCO, an industry leader as technology strategist for public segment companies with specific focus on building 5G power smart cities. And he has 3 patents and 4 publications, an accomplished technology leader and industry go-to person for the government in technology. Ravi, over to you.
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for inviting me, Jose, and the team here. And we had Jan set my session up very nicely. The way he talked about the global scenario and how technology can help and what are the technology trends that are happening right now and how it can help. And I think that's what I'm going to cover in the next 8-9 minutes. And one of the topics which I'm sure everybody has heard in this room and beyond is about 5G. So 2 topics, right? One, everybody has heard about smart cities and smart urbanization. And all of you probably have heard about 5G as well. Now, what I'm going to cover in the next 8-9 minutes is how the potential of 5G in realizing the vision of smart cities or smart urbanization, right? So it's a new technology. Different parts of the world are at a different stages of adopting this technology, and some of them are even at a policy making stage in terms of deploying 5G, including India. We are hoping there will be an auction next year for the spectrum, and different parts of the world have gone ahead and even liberalized the spectrum to such an extent that now you can build private networks, not just public networks, right? So there are 2 ends of the spectrum in terms of the deployment and usage of 5G. I'll cover a few topics here. These are the topics that I'm going to cover quickly. So if you take a step back and understand what smart city is, and we, CISCO, has been in smart city business for maybe now 12 plus years for various, and we have done various lighthouse implementations, and now it's one of the key business focus areas for us. We look at smart cities in these 4 buckets of use cases or focus areas. One is urban mobility, and we talked about urban mobility earlier, and we have startups here that are focused on transforming urban mobility. So it's a huge use case. It's a huge use case from a sustainability perspective as well. Even though we have a separate bucket for sustainability, urban mobility plays a huge role in sustainable development of cities. Right? What are the different use cases there? Connected transportation for efficient transportation, smart parking solutions so that you don't just circle around looking for parking. Right, traffic analysis and taking policy decisions based on the data that you get about analyzing the traffic patterns, and then intelligent traffic management systems where you have your traffic lights and signals coordinated so that you don't have inefficient traffic movement in a city, right? Then coming to the second one, which is all about sustainability. It's about the use cases that help you make use of the scarce resources that we have, like energy, like water, etc. Right? How do we make the best use of the scarce resources we have, and also make decisions about disposing some of our outputs like waste management, etc. in a sustainable manner. So there are a bunch of use cases there that help transforming the urban development in a sustainable manner. You cannot have a smart city or smart urbanization without citizen engagement. Citizens have to be part of your strategy, of your execution, of adopting the smart technologies. So things like how do you engage citizens in your smart urbanization planning and execution. Things like public Wi-Fi, remote expert for government, delivering smart services, governance services through smart city applications, and all these sorts of use cases bring citizens into as center part of your strategy for smart urbanization. And urban safety is, you cannot sustain without safe environment within a city. So there is a whole bunch of use cases within making sure that your people and your assets are safe, including use cases like surveillance, analytics, emergency response, disaster management, with all the rain that we have and across the world, and some of the things that we see about wildfires. how do you make sure that you are able to respond to these incidents and these disasters in a much more efficient manner, right? So we look at all of this as focus areas within smart city or smart urbanization. But to Jan's point earlier, data is the key. All of these smart solutions generate a lot of data. Now, what are you going to do with that data? How are you going to use it for efficient urban services delivery as well as policy making, right? Because you collect traffic data for 3 years, then you have enough data to make some policy decisions about how do you want to regulate traffic in the city. Same thing around water, same thing around energy, right? So all of that data has to come into an operation center to a real time and a historical situational awareness of how your urban services and city services are performing, so that it becomes a tool for you for real time response as well as a medium to long term policy intervention into your city operations. Now that's how we look at smart cities. Now if you look at the technology of 5G, right, that's what we are talking about. How do we apply 5G to smart cities? We all know the evolution of the cellular technology from 1G, 2G, and what capability each generation of this technology brought to the consumers and to governments and businesses, right? So 5G brings in a whole new set of radio capabilities and a whole new set of networking capabilities that changes the business model of cellular technologies, because now you are disaggregating the whole network infrastructure, making it much more open, to competition, and then also unlocking new business models where the 5G technology, while obviously our telco partners would deploy and benefit from the 5G technologies, the current newer versions of the 3GPP standard allows creation of private networks for government agencies or large enterprises or like manufacturing units and those kinds of things, where you can digitally transform your operations and get much more efficient outputs and much more efficient operations. So there are some of the use cases which are like, for example, network slicing. Network slicing is a technology where you are dedicating a set of resources for a particular use case within a physical infrastructure. So if you're doing, if let's say if a city builds a private 5G or leverages a public 5G, you are going to set aside a slice of the infrastructure resources for, say, for example, surveillance use cases that require high bandwidth and low latency type of characteristics from the network. So and then you also create another slice of the same infrastructure for IoT use cases that require low bit rate, not so very high bandwidth usage use cases. So you create this way, their new business models are emerging on top of the 5G technology that we are going to see in the near future. Architecturally, like I said, it brings in new radios. The spectrum availability is much larger compared to the older, the prior generations of the cellular technologies. But because of the network decomposition, it brings in software-defined concept into 5G, so that the network becomes programmable. It becomes much more open for innovation. 5G brings 3 main service types. One is around massive IoT. One is around enhanced mobile broadband, which is essentially an enhanced experience for broadband connections that you get on your mobile devices, right? The second one is on mission critical services. It's about delivering ultra low latency traffic for use cases that require it, like factory automation, robotic automation, surveillance and video analytics and all these kinds of things. So that service type from 5G is an important characteristics or a capability that will be leveraged. Then 5G is going to allow a density of devices that is going to be order of magnitude from what is allowed today. It is envisioned that you probably have 1 million devices in a 1 square kilometer real estate that you can connect using 5G, right? Obviously the bandwidth for those devices is not going to be very high, but they are all very small, bandwidth requirement devices, right? So these are the 3 capabilities that we see from 5G coming. Now, how do we apply this to different use cases within a smart city, right? So in enhanced mobile broadband, it's about citizen engagement. We talked about how do we deliver that. Things like virtual tourism, remote education, remote healthcare, all of these use cases get delivered and will use the enhanced mobile broadband capability, right? From massive machine type communications, it's about vehicle to vehicle and vehicle to infrastructure communications, self-driving cars, connected street lights, connected parking, connected meters. All of these types of IoT devices would use that capability. The third one is around the URLCC, the ultra low latency communication, where it's about drone-based surveillance, drone-based delivery service, like what happened with the rains in some of the cities around us. How do you know what's actually happening, which area is flooded, and getting that real-time information? Having a drone-based surveillance with high-quality video would help you respond to such incidents in a much better manner. So those are some of the applications of 5G technology to real-life use cases. And then we have, I talked about this. I'll skip in the interest of time. From a network architecture perspective, this is how we look at it from a CISCO perspective, right? We have an offer called CISCO Connected Communities Infrastructure that allows for connecting various types of IoT devices to a network infrastructure that is fine-tuned and engineered for all the IoT use cases in a smart city, right? So low power wireless, Wi-Fi, 5G now, all of them coming together as a cohesive network infrastructure, connectivity infrastructure that can deliver any sorts of data to any sorts of an application from various smart city use cases. This is my last slide. How do we make a 5G enabled transformation a reality, right? It's a new technology, and at the same time, smart cities technology, the ecosystem, the devices, the use cases are also evolving. How do you make the right choice? What is your approach to adopting the technology, right? So first, there has to be a conscious and a strategic decision that the network, the connectivity plays a critical role in transforming your operations, as well as 5G is a important ingredient of your connectivity strategy. That decision has to be made, right? And then secondly, prioritize the use cases depending on your situation. Do you need mobility transformed? Do you need safety transformed? Do you need some sustainability use case? What are those use cases that you have an ROI for, right? You have a business case for, and make a prioritized list of those use cases. Then key part of any smart city is the technology and the non-technology ecosystem, right? Once you prioritize your list, who are your ecosystem partners who are going to deliver those use cases? Do they have, most of the cases they would be local startups, some of them could be global startups. Identifying that ecosystem that comes together to deliver, the outcome that you need is an important step of your strategy, right? And then proof of value. Once you prioritize the use cases, once you know who your ecosystem is, you know what the ROI is, then you need to do a proof of value of that use case. Okay, I'm going to save 60% of energy by connecting my street lights. Let's do a 2 square kilometer area of that, prove the value, implement the technology, learn from that, and then scale to the whole city maybe, right? Same thing for traffic, same thing for any other type of use case that you would want to do. And then once you have the proof of value, then you are going to scale it to the broader adoption and broader city. So that pretty much concludes my presentation. Hope you liked it, and I'm here for some more time if you have any further questions. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Ravi. That was wonderful presentation. I learned something about CISCO. I wish the last slide, our road traffic organization would have adapted it, because in Bangalore, every road is dug up with white topping, and we just can't predict whether white topping is going to be really the next thing or not. So, we should have tried it for one zone and then probably tried the other places. So thank you for that, Ravi.